Hey, deserving listeners, it is time for Dungeons and Dragons. And for some of you, this is fun times. And for others of you, you've already skipped this episode. So that is great. But let's
just based on the title.
Yeah, let's just get right into it. But Adam Davis, do you have any announcements to make?
Yes, if you are a mental health provider looking to get training in how to use games like Dungeons & Dragons in your work, make sure you go to game2grow.org to learn more information about our full-day training program, level 1 training program that's launching in early October. So if by the time you hear this, it should be on our website, but if it's not, make sure to go to game2grow.org/newsletter to join the newsletter.
Great. All right, Adam Johns, let's get to it.
Let's take it away. As is always the case, I have a checking question for all of you. My checking question today is, what is something you regret? And we sometimes talk about this when we do harder checking questions for some of our groups, like ones that may be a little bit more negative or may have the potential for you to share a whole lot that might make you uncomfortable. So the thing that I will mention is we are on a public stream in front of many people, vocally at least. So keep that in mind. Share what you're comfortable sharing. Your regret could be something as simple as I dropped the pickle jar yesterday and it shattered on the floor and I didn't get to eat all those delicious pickles. But it could be something deeper, something in your past or your history. And normally what I would do is I would have you share as your character. In addition, today you're not going to do that because this is actually going to come back up during our campaign. And you're going to share about your character at that time instead. So who feels like they're ready to share a regret with us?
I share regrets for a living.
It's your constant,
I can go.
Your constant state is
sharing my constant state.
I would regret that career choice.
Basically, when Kirk asked me to be on the podcast, I was like, what am I going to do? Oh, I know. I'll share regrets. All right. Yeah, no. So, I mean, there's a lot of regrets. I think a notable one. Okay. Yep. When I was 18, 19, let's say, and starting college, I was in college, I didn't realize that was the best time to take chances and not do necessarily what you are quote unquote supposed to do. For example, I was like, well, I have to go to college and get a degree. This is something you have to do. And I need to get a job that is safe. This is something I have to do, right? Like that was the mentality. And my biggest regret is that I actually didn't do anything, let's say between 18 and 24 or something, that was totally risky. And I don't mean like, skydiving or going to Thailand and, smoking something that someone offered me on the street or something. I mean like starting a business or going on the road with a band or becoming a comedian in Europe, That's my biggest regret.
All right.
I feel like that may be a common regret of a lot of people.
Yeah, probably.
But I like that one a lot. I feel like that resonates a lot with me personally.
I regret having worked so hard on a past house. So I bought my first house, 15 years ago or something, and maybe it was 20 years ago. Anyway, and I really wanted to make the house mine, and I did all the landscaping, I did all the renovations, I did so much work. It was just this constant project. And then at some point I was like, I think I want to live somewhere else. And I sold the house, and everything I did, I don't know if it enhanced the price of the house or anything. I mean, I had a couple years there where I liked my house a little bit better than I did when I first moved in, But not enough, I think, for the amount of pain. And recently, me and Stacy went on a walk, and we walked by, last weekend, we walked by my old house. And I noticed that they had completely renovated the front yard, completely erasing all the work that I did to that front. I mean, I planted trees. I built a fence.
Oh, no.
And the fence is gone. There's a new fence. The trees are gone.
Did you have to shine the fence?
Yeah. So I regret that. Although I also like the memory. I feel like it taught me a lot about those kinds of things. But honestly, if I could go back in time, I would, a time machine, I'd tell myself, dude, just enjoy the house as it is. Don't do something else with your time. And actually, it's interesting because it didn't occur to me until recently that, so in the mid 2000s, I spent all my free time renovating the house. And then around the time when I decided that I didn't want to do that anymore, my energies were freed and I could do whatever I wanted to. And that's when I started the podcast, because I had all this free time. So maybe I would have started the podcast even earlier if I had.
Oh.
I actually think that's like, for me, one of the really interesting parts about regret is we regret things, but a lot of the times the mistakes that we make or the path that we went on is what led us to here. So whenever I start on this thought process of thinking about like, oh, I regret that, I always come back around to like, but I might not be here now doing what I'm doing or living the life as I'm living it if it hadn't been for some of those circumstances, for some of those things.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm definitely a silver lining kind of guy, so it's hard for me to think about like things that I just straight up regret that I didn't learn from. And this is also a really great challenge by choice question for me to really think about what edge I want to find on this. Because there's plenty of things like ordering 10 out of 10 stars sometimes on the spice level. I have regretted that. Those kinds of things. Easy things to drop here. But I think as I think about this, I think one of the things that I truly regret is when my grandmother, who was one of my absolute idols and just an amazing human being, when she was getting ill, I didn't go visit her, and I do regret that. I regret not making the trip to Texas to visit her before she passed and bringing my now wife with me. I think that is one thing that I definitely regret. When my grandfather on another side was getting sick, I did learn the lesson, and I did fly down there at his last moments, and that was certainly something that I learned from that previous experience. But it's something that you can't get that time back. So I think that is something that I look back on with regret.
Oh, that resonates with me too, man. I feel you there.
Yeah.
I think my there are lots of things that I could totally talk about regretting. One of them was my first roommate in college. I lived in the dorms and when I went to my undergrad in college in Arizona. And my first roommate was this guy who was a tattoo artist and a bartender, and he was 19. And when I went into college, I was pretty sheltered. I've pretty much been very straight-laced most of my life, and I came in and this guy was from a different walk of life than the kind of life that I had lived, and I just don't think I did a great job getting along with him, and I always kind of regret that like we didn't find more common space, or I didn't like speak up a little bit more about what I wanted. We were sharing a space together, and I could have said more about like, here's what I'd like. I'd like for you to not watch horror movies at 3 o'clock in the morning while I'm trying to go to sleep. And instead I was like, no, that's fine. I'm sure I can sleep through that. I can sleep through anything. And I was just wrong. And like it just fostered and harbored like poor feelings between the two of us. And a lot of that is on me. And I really regret how I handled all of that relationship. I think back on that guy, and sometimes I even think about like reaching back out to him and saying like, hey, I'm sorry I was maybe not the best roommate. Not that he was necessarily the best roommate either. But I think that's kind of my regret there. With that being said, since we're not doing characters, Kirk, you think you're up for a recap? It's been a little while.
Yeah, well, so the three of us met at a funeral of a mutual friend, and it sparked a quest, if you will, for the three of us to find a very special book of fate, which is worth a lot and an interesting archaeological object, and also could ruin the world if in the wrong hands and save the world if it was in the right hands. and there's a mystery afoot, and there's bad guys out to get us, some thugs, and then there's also the Book of Fate Templars are, supposedly good or neutral warriors who are to protect the Book of Fate, and they're also trying to get us because they think that we have it or something. And so we have found a bunch of objects that might relate to finding the Book of Fate that was left behind by our friend Thwar. And we, in the last adventure, used the rubber ducky and found one of the clues that will potentially lead us to the Book of Fate. And we almost got killed by the Templars, but we got away, and that's where we left off. Did I leave anything out?
I think that covers it pretty well. I'm pretty sure all three of you are now sort of escaping from the library, where the librarian had been very unhappy with the amount of noise and possible damage to books that you were doing. But the three of you made it out alive and without turning to stone, with the Templars now far behind you. So my question for you is, what are you doing next?
Well, we got to get to a safe place. So,
Yep.
did we have a? It's been so long since we played. Do we have like a place that we're staying?
A clubhouse?
Ulian, I believe you have like an apartment or
I
a
live
house
in
or something
the
like
city,
that,
yeah.
right? You live in the city. Blaze and I think you don't live here, so you might have had a
He's
place
going to
you were
have
staying.
to think about if he wants to have strangers rearranging stuff at his place. Oh. That's going to set him into an...
I'll also just in
little
general, I
frenzy.
mean, you're sort of running through the streets right now, but you now have the book in order to decrypt the map,
Right.
and you had an extra book along with it. That was, I didn't write down the name. I think it's like the key to mastering poetry or something like that. Yeah, the key to
was-
mastering poetry.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I say, we have to go. No, just joking. We must find somewhere where we can use the cipher to figure out the map. Is there I'm a small, I can hide, but the two of you stick out like a sore thumb. So where do we go?
Do either of you have a location we could go to?
No.
No, I just arrived in this town today.
Well, my apartment is not technically too far from
All
here.
right, let's go there. Which
But,
way?
To your house.
Just fine. May I beg you, please, to remove your shoes and be very gentle with everything inside. It's all very ancient and delicate.
I point to my feet and I say, we don't wear shoes.
Your feet are terribly dirty.
I
just
also
like-
don't wear shoes.
Julian's going into convulsions.
Ulian, your house is not too far. It's a bit of a trek, like a mile away or something like that. But nothing you can't walk, and
Just enough to get their feet even dirtier.
right. It is definitely nighttime. The library is closed. Like its normal business operating hours are now over, and you are all sort of traveling through the streets at night. It's a city, and actually the celebrations are still going on for the big holiday, and so everybody in the city is still out and about. There's still lots of people bustling around as you're headed back to Ulian's place. Ulian, what kind of place is it? Is it a house? Is it an apartment?
No, it's okay. It's imagine if a Spartan, like someone that lived very plainly, got a place, and so it's a small place because you don't need anything large, and the walls are bare, the floor is clean. But there are books and parchments and little widgets everywhere. So it's like a Spartan hoarder. Like, so, you know, it's like this weird mismatch. So you have to, like, as you walk through, there's corridors within the small space that are made out of like columns of books. And everything is kind of like leaning, or they're not also very straight. They're like leaning over a little bit because the books are various different shapes. But other than that, it's like spotless. Like there's no dust actually. Like the floor is super clean, and then there's this little cot in one end, and the cot's also kind of like arched by books. Like there's just books everywhere, papers and parchments.
Is there a sense of organization, or is it a little bit of chaos?
Well, there is, but not that you would know. If you ask Julian about it, oh, he will tell you. In fact, try to move something out of place and you will hear all about it. But yeah, that's the situation.
Awesome. So Julian, you managed to make it back. The three of you make it back to your place without incident. And so as you're making your way back to the apartment, I guess, and you open up the door, this is what Blazenar, you and Gyarka see.
Before we open the door, I say, now, listen, there are lots of books. They're perfectly arranged. Please do not touch anything. If you have a question, just don't touch anything. Then I open the door.
Is there also, I'm getting a sense, is there only one chair? There's like one chair and one cot.
There's no chair. There's
no chair, it's just the cot.
On the floor. There is like, there's like a torch holder kind of thing for light. And there's some space on the ground where I suppose people could sit and look at a map.
But
it's safe.
There's not
no
a
one
lot.
really knows I live here.
That's pretty fair, because of course you don't have a lot of interaction with your neighbors. Blazenar and Gyarkas, I'm just mostly curious, do the two of you say anything when you come in, and what does this interaction look like?
I nod my head, and then as soon as we get in there, I start eyeballing books and seeing if anything catches my attention.
I do the same thing. This is very curious, and I want to know more about this strange behavior.
All right,
kind of-
Berta,
like-
I'm going to put it on you. What kind of books do they see?
Okay. So there's a whole column devoted to mythical sea creatures, you know? And then there, right, like across from it, there's a whole other column full of confirmed mythical sea creatures. And then there's a column or two probably about the destiny, the Book of Destiny. But you know, it's not like titles that you would directly know that have something to do with it, but it's things about like the Templars and you know, ancient legends from our land, and you know, time is an illusion, and books like this, but they're all grouped together. Then there's also a very, very odd column that is full of what, you know, in our world are like, would look like kind of like pop-up children's books. And you can't, like, they're written in weird language. Well, I don't know if you guys speak, but it's written in Vedalken. And they happen to be Vedalken children's literature. But if you did grab one and look at it, you wouldn't think this was appropriate for kids, because it's like violent stuff. Like it's almost like a how not to get killed manual. So it's got like all these ways in which you could get killed, with like little X's, like don't do this. Yeah.
So I grab one of the books that says like confirmed mythical sea creatures, and I say, do you have a book about the aboleth? Because in Feather Falls there was many rumors about an aboleth in the river Ashaba.
The aboleth. Oh, I've heard of the aboleth. Now, have you seen an aboleth?
Oh no, anyone who had seen it reportedly got eaten by it because apparently it can infiltrate your mind or something.
Well, look at this. So I pull out a book, and the column almost falls, but I stop it. And this is a book about the legends of the aboleth and also similar creatures. I don't believe it's been confirmed, but these are legends.
I start flipping through. Is it in common or?
Yeah, it's in common.
Okay.
This book has pictures in it.
Does it have a picture of the aboleth in there?
It's
No, this
got
book
crude
that I'm looking at
drawings.
has-
Oh, wait, he's looking at a different one.
This book I'm looking at has someone holding an axe backwards. Don't hold an axe like that.
Excuse me, you did not ask me to look at those. Those are instructional manuals
Good
that
advice
I
in
find
here.
curious because, anyways, the one you're looking at, actually, you might want to study because I've noticed your recklessness and you might learn something from it.
I will.
So I legit actually am looking at whatever this book has to say about aboleths because there is an aboleth actually in Feather Falls that is reportedly been killing people over the years, and it's right at the bottom of the falls where my people are frequently going by, and I've lost some people maybe to the aboleth, and so.
I like it. Go ahead and add onto your sheet that you have. I guess I'll give you advantage on rolls regarding aboleth knowledge or tracking.
Okay.
This can come up. This can be the key.
Custom skill.
Yeah, custom skill there.
Do you know that were you to find any evidence, I could collaborate with you. We could be the first to publish an actual verified version of an aboleth account.
That would be fantastic. You would be the hero of my town.
Oh, very good. I notice as you start talking about aboleths, your voice clears up. You breathe easier. It's very interesting. This might be a passion of yours. No. What are you grabbing there now? Those books look fun, but please don't
Do not
make
stand
it
in
fall.
the fire; it will burn you. Good advice for children.
You understand, these aren't just for children. What happens is many of the Vidalcan feel that we belong in the water, and some are traditionalists, and they eschew any contact or interaction with the modern technologies, if you will, and the modern contraptions and weaponry. And so as a result, we have an inordinate amount of accidents every year. And some of us want to pass some regulations on these weaponry, and others believe that it should be weaponry for all, including children. And as a result, we have to print these books. I find them fascinating.
I also find them fascinating.
So I'll constitute the time that all of you spend talking about books and exploring a little of Ulian's apartment as basically a short rest. So everybody can take a short rest. You can use your hit dice to heal if you choose to do so.
So I think I'm okay on hit points, but what does that mean for spells and stuff like that?
You already got one of your spells back, so I don't know. You have to look
Right.
at the stat.
Right now I have all my second levels were used up. I have 1 third level that I got back, so I have an open slot for third level. And I have 2 first level slots open.
But you have to look at. I don't look in your features and traits.
Features and traits.
See that button,
Yep.
and then look down to see like regain spell thingy. Like on rest,
Traits.
it should say something there.
Yeah, I'm looking. Arcane recovery.
Yeah, so read that.
Okay. Once per day, when you finish a short rest, you can choose
Yeah.
expended spell slots to
Once per
recover
day, so you've already done
up
it.
to a combined level of 3.
Yeah, you've already done it.
Okay.
So
Perfect.
I'm reading the book, and whatever is next to the Aboleth chapter as well.
I also assume at some point someone will sit down with the map and the book
Yeah.
cipher
Yeah.
and take a look at that.
The problem is that, like,
You spend the rest of your lives going through Ulian's
There are so many
Ulian's
books
small
here.
library.
All right.
The problem is that Ulian is
campaign
torn right now. Ulian is torn right now between grabbing the map and like diving in, but he's worried about, what's going to happen if he leaves these two. Well, he's not as worried about what is it, Abilene? What do you call
Aboleth.
it? Aboleth. The Aboleth interests, because, that seems, in fact, he's kind of getting excited about that. But
I almost imagine Gierkus like pulling out books and like an entire stack of books collapses
yeah,
down.
That's why he's like
he
going
doesn't
back
even
and
try
forth
to
like,
stop it. He just sort of,
here, let me help you.
Gierkus is putting them on the wrong pile, just not paying attention.
they like
to the
pick them
way
up and then like take a look and then put it down and then it's fine.
If I may say so, perhaps we should start looking at the map. And because your input will be very valuable in this process. Maybe we could have your attention here.
Yes.
I would be glad to lend you books afterwards.
So the basics of any book cipher, as I kind of had explained in the previous podcast, is basically that it's a bunch of numbers and they refer to positions within the book. You're pretty certain you have the right book, as you've had lots of hints and lots of ideas to point you in the right direction. It was clearly hidden inside the duck statue. If this is the wrong book, you have no idea what else to pick for the right one. However, as you start to go through and match it to the numbers that you saw on the map when you used the mirror, it doesn't seem to be spelling anything at all. It just seems like a random jumble of letters. And you try several different things. You try to go about it in several different directions. But whatever is going on here, it seems like you're missing a puzzle piece, or maybe it's a book cipher that's a different kind of book cipher that none of you are familiar with. You're going to need to talk to somebody who knows more about book ciphers. And the only person that you three know who knows more about book ciphers is Lily.
Okay.
Now, when you last talked to Lily, she said she was headed back to the museum to work for a little while, to kind of move her head around people coming to try to kill her and maybe throw herself into some of her curating work at the museum. And just as a reminder for you, the players, she let you know that if you come in at the back door of the museum, that the guard would let you in, that you would leave your name with the guard, and the guard would let you in so you could come into the museum from the back entrance and go directly to her office as the curator.
I don't understand. We've tried to apply the cipher. It doesn't seem to be making sense. I've also tried misplacing the location of the cipher by 2, then 4, then 6. That doesn't seem to do anything at all. I've looked at it upside down. I've looked at it backwards. I used the mirror. I think we are stuck. We need help.
We need help from an expert. We need help from an expert. Perhaps Lily can help us.
Yeah. Perhaps we need to go see Lily again.
Well, let's go.
It is late.
No, guys, we won't be needing those books for the road.
Just this one.
Fine, just that one.
Thank you.
It's just a book of burning children.
My
Picture
people
after
don't burn.
picture
This
of
is-
children
this is
dying
funny.
in terrible fires.
Children burning is very silly, absurd even.
It's a serious problem in our land.
No, not in
I don't
mine.
find the humor.
One of the pictures is a dragon setting children on fire. It's like extra good.
Imagine.
And it says, don't. Like,
Yeah, it's
don't
just a big,
like-
it's just a big
like, don't
cross off.
go up to a dragon.
Circle, dragon fire, children fire. Don't do that. It's hilarious.
And I explain, no. It doesn't mean don't go up to a dragon. Do not be silly. It means the authors of this book do not believe in dragons, which is another unfortunate misconception. Anyways, let's get going.
Perfect. I'll put that back in my bag.
All of you head to the museum. The museum in the city city's name is escaping me at the moment.
Ringoti.
Ringoti.
Ringoti. Capital of Retrocra.
The museum, Ringoti is a massive city. This particular museum is really well known. It's a beautiful museum. It's a gigantic building. The fact that Lily works there as the museum curator is a good position. So she's clearly like worked there for a long time and is an expert in her field in order to hold a position at a museum such as this. As the three of you make your way toward the museum, and then you make your way toward the sort of back entrance as directed by Lily, you're fully expecting to see the posted guards and sort of security that a kind of museum with a lot of rare artifacts like this would have. The first thing that you notice, obviously the museum is closed. It is after hours currently. And as you approach the back door, you don't see a guard. But as you get closer, you realize that out of the bushes are a set of boots that are sort of sticking out sideways from the bushes nearby the back entrance. As you go
Someone
and
must take their
investigate,
shoes off before they enter.
as you it's like a shoe
Must
rack.
be like your people.
As you
No,
investigate,
the bush clearly has feet and likes to wear boots.
it's a foot.
We should investigate this boot-wearing bush.
You too might
As
consider
you
boots in
investigate,
the future.
there is the dead body of a guard laying in the bushes.
Oh my word! That
Let's
is
see,
a body.
who would someone roll me a medicine check? Whoever would be checking the body. All of you, if all of you are checking it. But
I got a 2.
I got an 18.
6.
okay, I guess Girkus, you recognize that the body was very clearly stabbed.
E.
It looks like from behind. So someone snuck up on this guard
Cowards.
and killed him.
Someone killed this man.
That's very perceptive of you.
The back door also appears to be unlocked.
I hold up my hand in a signal, and I say, and I put my finger up to and I tell them to be quiet, essentially.
5.
And then I sneak in through the back door.
Awesome. Everybody go ahead and roll me stealth checks if you were going through the back door. But it sounds like Blazenar, you're heading up the pack.
No, I'm saying stay.
Oh, you're telling them to stay there? Okay.
Yeah.
5. What?
Okay, so no roll.
Just Blazenar then.
Just listen.
I got a 27.
Nice.
Whoa!
Wow. Okay.
That's stealthy.
We're sticking by.
Blazenar, you start to make your way into the back entrance, and it's not too hard to figure out which direction you have to head in order to find the offices. There's lots of posted signs and stuff like that, and so you head towards the office of the curator that's clearly posted there. It does seem like it's a little further in, so I don't know how far away you want to get from your teammates, but you don't see anybody else around as you start to sort of sneak your way into the building.
I'm going to go until I see something, and because I'm assuming the criminal is inside here somewhere, because it's
Sure.
got to be a recent kill, because otherwise, you know.
Perfect. In that case, you make your way all the way to the curator's office. Now, the curator's office is broken up into essentially sort of two big parts. There's a main little office space where you might have meetings or you might talk with people. There's a nice desk there and some chairs. And then there's also a side door from the main office space that seems to lead back into like an archive room. And the archive room is basically a really large, almost a little warehouse space with tables and lots of shelves with different stuff. This is basically the we're currently working on it room where artifacts get placed. It has a lot of security. It has a secure door, and it only has one way in and one way out. Basically, you have to go through this office to get in and out of the archive room. And all the lights are off. There's no lighting really anywhere. And as you make your way into the office, you can see there's nobody here, but some of the papers on the desks are really messed up. So like stuff was jostled around. Looks like the office is kind of messy. And you turn and you start heading back into the archive room, and you can see there aren't any lights, but you can see a figure working in the dark there.
I didn't see any blood or any dead body or anything. And the figure, can I make out roughly what kind of body shape it is?
I guess you have dark vision, right?
No, halflings don't have dark vision.
Oh, okay.
I don't think, right?
The figure appears to be a woman,
Okay.
and a halfling.
Okay.
So you think it could be Lily,
Right.
but she is like hunched over and kind of looking through a bunch of the artifacts that are there.
I try to get closer without her noticing me.
Okay, I think your stealth check is plenty good for you to
Do
pull
I,
that off.
I try to
so-
get close enough to confirm that it's Lily.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, I think you get closer and closer, and Lily, it does appear to be Lily, and she's standing on a platform, and she's looking very, very intently at a piece of artifact. It looks to be like a stone, almost like a stone goblet, and she's sort of examining it really, really closely as you sneak up, and you are now basically right next to her, and she has not noticed you.
Right. Okay. So what do I do? I sneak. So I didn't see anyone in the building, and all the lights are off, and all the torches and candles are out. I go back out into the hall, and then wait. Screw it. I pull back away from her about 6 feet, and then I whisper, "Wow, goddamn." I say, now is there any light source around?
She has a very, very dim, she has like a single candle that she's using as a light source to examine this thing. Otherwise, there's like almost no light at all in the
I think she's got a good constitution, so I actually pull out a light source myself, and actually, I don't know what.
Like a candle or a lantern.
Yeah,
maybe?
I just light it and up to my face.
All right. I don't think there was any way getting around.
Yeah.
You light up the light source. You strike a match, or you whatever methodology you use there, and the light source comes to life, and she immediately notices you, and she gasps and sort of yelps loudly.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh dear God!
I tell her
Blazenar! Oh my God!"
and I say, "Shh."
Scared me terribly.
And it's, "Shh, Lily. Did you know that your guard outside has been murdered?"
Murdered? You mean Wilson?
Yes.
What? What are you talking about?
Your guard has been murdered. Someone is here.
I don't understand. What are you saying? He's
guard,
murdered?
He's dead. Someone killed him. They're probably looking for you right now.
Girkas and Ulian, both of you make me perception checks.
I got
17.
7. I got a 7. It's 10 less.
Girkas, you can let me know what you are doing such that you do not perceive this. But Ulian, you can see that there are actually windows all along the library. The museum is a beautiful place. There are windows all along, and for the most part, all the lights are off. There's sort of security lights or whatever that are on occasionally. But you can see just a couple of stories up from where you suspect, I guess, from where you are. You can see that there are a whole lot of people that are making their way through, and they have their own light sources, like hooded lanterns that have a more focused light. That they are clearly all together and kind of making their way through the museum. They look like they have swords. They look like they have weapons.
Girgis, stop playing with those books. Look up. But the boots, I mean, look up. Look at all those people. They are
Do they look
probably
like
looking
Are they
for
sinister
us
looking
and
people, or are they
Lily.
like
Oh yeah.
So
They're dressed in dark colors. They are holding weapons.
okay? Gotcha.
Even just from the sort of quick outline that you get as they're kind of running through, and they're also moving at a brisk speed. They're not running, but they're definitely like like organized, moving through the.
They're
the
not
museum.
lost.
Yeah.
No doubt in my mind that these people are up to no good. Okay.
Right. These are not museum patrons
right, just lost,
hanging
like,
out
oh,
after
no,
hours.
Not at the museum. It's a lock-in.
Yeah, they're not a
Girl Scout group or
sleep-in
something.
Girl Scout sleep-in troop.
I think
Well,
I think Blaze and Lily might be in danger. Stop with the boots again. Let's just focus.
What was that, Kirk?
Well, I was just gonna say you're a little skittish because you killed Lily one time, so you're like, well, wait. And you just
I don't wanna-
you
I
just
don't
read a
wanna
book
seem
about children
worse.
being killed by your kind. So
Yes, let's inquire
Oh, no.
with them and make sure they are
How Gerka's got his groove back.
to action.
Let's move
As
in.
the two of you dive into the building and start following the same signs, Blazenar, you are is right in that moment as you're confronting Lily, and you hear noises coming from the other side of the office, sort of just outside of the front office door. You can hear people talking, and somebody's giving commands.
okay. I cast minor illusion. So can I see? What can I see through the door?
So yeah, so you can see the archive room has a bunch of tables and shelves and things like that. They could probably see you, although you could probably duck behind a table or a shelf from where you are. And then the door to the archive room is closed, but there are big windows on either side of the door to the archive room that you can look into the office from where you are. So you can't see anybody because it's sort of a 90-degree angle. But you can totally look in. If they came into the office, you would be able to see them. It sounds like they're just outside of the office. But if they
Okay,
come
so
in, you'll be
I don't
able
know
to see
who they are yet.
them. Correct. Yeah.
So I turn to Lily and I signal for her to be quiet, but I whisper in her ear and I say, we found, does she know about the cipher situation with the map?
She knows about the cipher because she told you previously that this was a book cipher. So she knows that you were looking for the book to translate the book.
Okay, I say, we found the book cipher, but we need something more. Do you have it?
She says, "Oh my God, you found it? Book cipher. This could mean everything." She's also not. She's like clearly a little too excited,
I see.
and she's not being as quiet as you want her to be.
Quiet, be quiet.
I mean, I can do my best to help. It's possible that it's a 2-step or a 4-step or a 6-step book cipher.
Yeah. Oh, so there's nothing in this room that immediately jumps out at you that might help us. You need to look at the cipher.
I mean, for all I know, well, if you have the book, it should be pretty obvious.
Okay. I assume I don't have the book.
Who has the book?
No, we left the map. We left the stuff in my apartment.
Okay.
Okay.
So
for
We were
safety.
not gonna we needed to fetch her.
So
Yeah.
I say to Lily. So
Although for clarity, Gerkas, I assume you still have the bag of random items.
Yes.
Yes.
is there anywhere that I can put Lily so she could hide better?
There's nowhere to go in here. So yes, you can duck behind one of these tables, and they won't be able to see you if they look into the archive room.
Okay. So
but-
I tell her to duck behind a table in the farthest place away from the door, and then I peek up above and I'm looking through the door and I'm waiting to see who comes into the other office.
As you duck down and kind of peek over, you can hear the commands as whoever's giving the commands finally gets close enough to the office for you to start to overhear what they're saying, and you can hear them say, it sounds like sort of you hear it sounds like a sort of a gruff voice, but you hear them say, "Find me whoever is responsible. I want you to bring them in. Just the girl and the map and the book. Kill everybody else." And then you see several figures come into the doorway, and one of them is a dwarf. And the other ones are all wearing black, and you recognize the same green hand stamp that you had seen previously from the mercenaries that had been hired to kill you before.
Oh boy.
And the dwarf sort of looks around and goes, "This whole place is a mess. Well, if she's only this organized, I hope she can actually help us decipher the map." And then she points to one of the green hand, and he says, "Remember, no one leaves here alive." And then he steps back out of the doorway, and two of the green hand guards sort of start to search through the office, and you can see they're almost definitely going to head in your direction as well.
I cast Minor Illusion, and I can do 30 feet, so I try to put it in the hallway. So, far behind the guys behind me. And I have it say, let's see, what do I have it say? I have it say, in a loud, deep voice, it says, "Ulian intruders!"
Okay, perfect. I think you can totally sort of put it just outside in the hallway.
Yeah.
And as the sound goes off, the two people in the office turn, and then immediately somebody shouts, "Chase them down!" And you can hear a whole lot of footsteps. It sounds like 6-7 people that are out in the hallway who start running in that direction.
Is there a window in here? Anything?
You can't see the hallway from here.
But is there a window in the room I'm in?
No, there are no windows. There's only the windows that lead to the office.
Okay.
And the two guys in the office start to leave, and then you watch as the dwarf who had just left points at them and says, "No, you search here. She might have hidden the book or the map in here." And then he takes off as well. And so they start to go, and then they stop and start looking around again. In the sort of office space.
All right.
But you can tell you cleared out a lot of people. The shout does not go unheard by Gierkus and Ulian, by the way. Right. As the two of you are sort of making your way up, and you can hear all these footsteps, all these people shouting and giving orders, and you make your way up the stairway to the level that the signs say the curator's office is, and you're sort of looking around the corner as you're watching them. It is easily more than a dozen people, and most of them are dressed in these blacks, with the green handprint. But one of them is the dwarf, and since you have a better view, you can tell the dwarf is clearly wearing the same kind of clothing and symbols as the Templars of Fate wore.
Ooh. No bueno. Okay, so we're coming up. We've heard the thing. I'm gonna assume,
You're in sort of the stairwell, like a few offices down from the curator's office, and so you can kind of peek around the corner and see them rushing about and see them doing that.
And of course, we don't know that Blaze is with Lily.
Correct.
But we've heard him do the thing, so I'm assuming he's trying to distract these people we've seen. But I'm still assuming he's in danger. Okay, so first off, I had an idea that maybe both myself and Blaze thought we left the map and the book at the place, but then I turn around and I'm like, Gierkus, what are you holding?
This book.
You brought the book and the map?
You told me I could.
But that's the other book, the children's book. You
I
brought
have that book too.
Oh my goodness! Then now it's not safe yet. Okay, keep it hidden. Do you have a place to hide it?
Yes.
Okay, keep it hidden. Now,
Gierkus, do you have? Are you just wearing like key robes, or is it like a gi?
Yeah.
okay.
I can put it on the ground right here.
No. No. Yeah. Do you want me to hide them in my robes?
Yes.
Okay, so he gives me the book and the map, and I stuff them in my robes. I think at this point, I don't think I want to go try to fight these people. There's too many of them, but we need to find them. So I'm wondering if I can can I cast if I cast clairvoyance, can I hear what's happening? Like, can I
Yeah.
hear what's happening?
Yeah. But you kind of know what's happening already, don't you?
Yeah, okay. All right. Okay, so do we have a clear path into the room? Like, do we know which room Blaze is in?
I think you can, if you assume Blaze went after the curator, you know where the curator's office is. I don't think you guys can see any better into the curator's office from where you are than the guards can, and Blaze and Lily are currently hiding in
Okay.
the...
I'm going to cast...
Got
Got it. I'm going to cast a minor illusion as well.
Okay.
I'm assuming... So, which direction did Blaze's cast...
So-
Blaze's cast?
Blaze's cast worked really well. It actually pulled a whole bunch of people
Yeah, pulled
away.
a whole bunch of people away.
There are still two
are
more
they
in the
running?
hallway.
And I see them. They're running away, right?
Yeah, they're sort of running down the hallway, clearly kind of chasing after the noise.
Is there
And
a
there's still
way
two-
that I can then reinforce that, like like in the next direction, so they confirm that? Oh yeah, we gotta keep going that way.
Yeah, and I think you were in position well enough that you could totally respond and hop right on.
So then
on
basically, I cast a
Blazonar's
minor illusion
comment.
and I try to copy the voice. And it's like, this way, they're coming after us, or something like that. Yeah, that's what I do. This way, they're coming after us.
Awesome. I think you have no problem kind of projecting that further down the hallway than Blaze could have done, which kind of leads them chasing off down in that direction.
Okay.
It still leaves the two in the hallway and the two in the office that you can see from where you are.
So I think I'm like, Gurkus, I think we need to take out these two in the hallway.
Gierkus, roll me a perception check with advantage.
Uh-oh.
I got a modified 20.
Is
Ooh,
it
okay?
is it another Dragonborn?
No. Although it is worth mentioning they are varied races in these black outfits. Even though all their outfits match, they're all sort of different, clearly different sort of specializations of weapons and
United
fighters
Colors.
and
Yeah.
different
they're an inclusive,
That's very inclusive.
multicultural
yeah.
Yeah.
and
murderous group.
various represented genders. I think they're very inclusive.
Yeah.
For an assassin's guild. So, Gierkus, with a modified 20, you are the whole time this is all going on, and Ulian is talking about all the different, like, oh, we could do this, and then he's like projecting and he's casting magic, and you're staring right across the hall is a large grate that leads to like an air vent, and you're staring at it, and for a long time you're just sort of looking at it, and what you realize is your screwdriver would perfectly fit the screws on this grate across the hall.
Light bulb on top of my head.
Like you reach into the bag and you kind of hold it up, and you're looking at the thing
am I
across the
seeing
hall,
this?
and you're looking at the. Yeah,
Am I
think so.
seeing this?
To me, or is it across? Or would we have to be exposing our existence to them in order to go across the hall?
No, you could. It's like a T. So you
I
could
see.
you could while they're distracted real quick, you could like hop across the hallway and then
Gurkus,
could get
what
to
are
that.
you doing? We need to
Watch
contact.
this. I want to go over there, like a Formula One pit crew.
Brilliant. Okay, I take everything back I've ever said bad about you, which is quite a bit.
It is a fairly large air vent. It's still pretty tight for you, Gierkus. You're a pretty big guy, but you can fit in, and if it looks like you can close it up behind you as well.
Are you gonna
I'm
go
assuming
We're
the two
going
of you.
spelunking.
Blazonar, you are watching as you are hiding behind this thing and looking for any way out of this room whatsoever. And Lily is like starting to hyperventilate. She's starting to like get very, very worked up and upset, and she can like see these guys, and they have searched the office now, and you can see them opening up one of the doors, and one of them turns to the other one and goes, "Have we looked in here yet?" And they go, no, not yet. Let's split up and make our way through. And they open up the door and they start making their way through the stacks, slowly heading in your direction, getting closer and closer.
Okay, I signal to her to stay, and I start moving away from her, and I'm gonna hide in a spot where I think at least one of them's gonna come, and I'm gonna shank him.
All right. As you are making your way in that direction, Ulian, I'm going to assume Ulian went first through the grate.
Sure, because he was gonna close it up.
Yeah.
Girkus, yeah.
Ulian, you round the corner in this grate, and you can see into a dark office, and you can see Lily hiding behind a desk, as Blazenar sort of sneakily walks away from the back part of this.
Is she close to
area.
the grate that I could whisper and she would hear me?
Yeah, she totally is.
Okay, so I go right up and I'm like, Lily, turn around.
And she doesn't yelp this time, but she does look like surprised and then very confused.
I'm in the grate. This is Ulian.
And she kind of leans down and she's looking through the grate and she says, Ulian, how did you get in there?
Oh, don't worry about it. We're gonna open it up. Come with us. Okay, so like I don't know how we do this because like he hands me the screwdriver painfully. Like I reach behind, like oh god, I'm pulling my back, and then I'm like unscrew, and I'm really bad with tools, by the way. And so like Girkus, you're trying to like here, let me do it. Like you're trying to sneak your hand in, and I'm like no, I got it. And finally, like I painfully open the thing.
Come to Los Angeles, she said. Have a good time, she said. All right, let's take a break, and when we get back, let's see what happens. So let's say Ulian is trying to woo a love interest, and he has let her or him come into Ulian's apartment, and all the books are there, and he wants this person also to become a patron of the podcast. What would that sound like?
First off, let me tell you how much it means. Don't touch that book. I mean, perhaps I could let you touch it, but maybe if we talk about it first. But anyways, as I was saying, it means so much to me to have you here. And oh, hold on, let me clear this away a little. You put your cup down and it left a ring. Yes, I realize it's the floor, but anyways, I just think maybe it's time for us to move to the next step, where, you know, perhaps, what do you mean? We're not at a step? Well, I thought we were at a step. I've invited you into my place. We've read books together. Friends. But I most certainly imagine we are friends, which... Oh. Well, perhaps I could interest you in becoming a patron of the Psychology in Seattle podcast. Maybe as a consolation prize. Very well.
Also, convince your partner to go to GameToGrow.org. And where should people go, Adams?
GameToGrow.org/support is the website to make a donation to our nonprofit.
Wait. So let's say Girkus is in the room, and
Like awkwardly.
and awkwardly
Girkus.
and
This
chi-
This is a private meeting, Girkus.
and
You
Gir-
have so many books.
and Girkus chimes in and tries to convince the romantic partner to go to GameToGrow.org/support. What would that sound like, Girkus?
You have so many books here. I wonder if you purchased them on Amazon.com. Did you know you can actually change your Amazon.com to smile.amazon.com? Learn more at GameToGrow.org/support.
GameToGrow.org? This sounds like perhaps just what we need to take our relationship to the next
You
level.
might need some help.
I think that might be the best pitch we've ever had.
Friend zoned? GameToGrow.org.
All right. With that,
I gotta wonder, like, what? It would be awesome to see the backstory. How did Ulian get to the point where he had invited someone who he thought was like developing a relationship with? For all we know, it's just like his neighbor, and he like just walked into like, because he's like, hey, come check this out.
I also want to watch the TV show that is Ulian and
Yeah,
Girka
Odd Couple.
as
The Odd
like an
Couple.
Odd Couple kind of show. I really, really like that idea.
And every now and then, Uncle Blazenar shows up. Hey,
Yeah.
The
I'd be
whole
like,
audience
I
claps.
got a new voice.
Yeah.
Do you have Kirk? Would Blazenar have a catchphrase he says as he walks into the room?
Yeah. What would it be? It'd be like something like, I'm trying to think, would it be making fun of the Odd Couple, or, is he like a Larry on Three's Company?
Oh
I'm
yeah.
gonna say it's kind of a Three's Company thing.
Right. So, right. So,
2 Men and a Baby, maybe.
yeah. I don't know.
Or is he more like, I'm picturing Danny DeVito in It's Always Sunny. Like he comes in with some random new thing.
Oh yeah, that's better. That's better. Yeah, it'd be like, so I figured it out. There's a cellar on the corner, and if we work our angle right, we can get in there and we can make lots of money.
Blaze, I'm in the middle of a date. What do you mean it's not a date? Well, in any case, I can't with all these distractions.
Shut up, bird.
I want to watch this show. This is the TV show I want to see.
As long as there's a laugh track.
Yeah, a really ridiculous laugh track. Blazenar, you are sneaking in this archive room. You're headed after the would-be assassin that is clearly sort of sneaking around in your place. You can see he's holding a lantern, and it's a focused hooded lantern, so it's got kind of a focused light, and he's kind of scanning around the shelves and stuff. But it's clear that he does not have dark vision. And so you've got sort of the advantage on your side of staying very hidden. I'm continuing to use your stealth check from before, so you are very, very well hidden. What do you want to do? What do you want this to look like?
Well, I'm trying to kill him quietly, so that will be tough. But I'm guessing, I've watched a lot of ninja movies, and it's hand over the mouth and slash across the throat or something like that.
Okay, cool. Go ahead and make me an attack roll and make it with advantage since you're hidden.
Okay. What is my attack bonus? It's +6, and I got a 20.
Nice. So you definitely hit. And then roll me damage with your sneak attack.
Damage is not very high, 8.
And you get to add your sneak attack bonus on there? Did
Yeah,
you?
that's with sneak attack bonus.
What did you do? Like poke?
I think what actually happens is as you reach up, to sort of grab
Or
this
sorry,
guy.
it's 11. 11.
11? Okay. It's still not quite enough to like take him out. You reach up to sort of grab this guy, and as you go to grab him and then kind of slit his throat. Actually, what I'll say is you do kill him, but he drops the lantern.
Okay.
So you leap. You put your hand over his mouth, and you slit his throat, and he doesn't make any noise at all, and he crumples to the ground, but he drops his lantern, and in doing so, there's a clang from the lantern, and the other guard immediately turns and kind of looks in your direction.
Yikes.
And I think he doesn't see you. He just sees, I think you're able to escape, kind of back to where you were, but he sees the other guard crumple to the ground. And the lantern there, and he's clearly making his way over into that direction.
Okay, so
When
I
you say
do,
back to where he was, is that where Lily? Where
Yeah, so I
Lily?
think now Blazenar, now you see Lily kind of talking to a wall.
oh. Well, I'm trying to make I don't know the layout in my head, but I'm making my way. This is my plan, as I'm going to come back around, so I'm I can backstab the guy from the other side. So I'm
The
going
other guard.
around a big table or something. But I'm passing by Lily, and I see her talking to the wall. Do I see Ulian?
It's hard to see through the grates. They're tough to see through. You wouldn't notice somebody on the other side of the grate normally.
Okay.
But if you pay close attention now that you see her talking to a wall, yeah, I think you can make Ulian out.
Okay. So are they in the process of opening up the grate? Or?
Yeah,
Hurry
Ulian,
up!
I think right about this time you're finishing up the last screw and kind of pushing the grate open.
Do I turn left or right?
Lefty Lucy.
It's lefty.
right,
lefty.
right,
Well,
right.
you're on the
I mean
opposite.
left.
You're on the opposite side.
Oh, but I'm on this side.
It's
Oh.
righty, Lucy. From the other side, you have to do it from the other side.
So I am still. Do I think all of us can get out through the grate by the time this guard comes back around, or
You have absolutely no idea where the grate leads or what the direction for it is, but it is a back door out of this place. And if there's lots of guards in the hallway, this at least saves you from having to leave through the only other front entrance of the room.
right? Well, I'm just trying to wonder if I have to take out this other guard, or if we can all get out before that other guard discovers us.
Oh, I gotcha. Since the grate is already open, I think you can probably make your way out through the grate without the guard seeing you. He will be very confused as to how somebody was killed, and there's nobody in the room.
It's
It
an
would be the
illusion,
Great
Michael.
Vanishing act.
Take his
Yeah.
body out into the. Can we drag his body into the vent, Batman style?
The other guard is already on top of the one that's
okay.
dead. So he's already investigating what's going on. He's panicked and even
a
shouting to
exclamation point
the
above his
guards
head.
outside.
He
Yeah,
is-
he's got
he's
the
lit.
exclamation point.
Okay.
He's Ba-da-doo!
Yeah.
So
What's going on over here?
I switch weapons to my bow, and if I have time, I'm actually just going to take a shot. Well, wait. I'm just going to see if I need to take a shot at him.
I think you're far enough away. I don't think you need to take a shot. Okay. If the goal is
Get
so
out.
that he doesn't chase you,
Right.
who doesn't see how you get out,
Okay.
then I think you're okay. I think you're hidden enough to be able to do that. All of you now inside these grates, you're basically making your way along some very windy grates and paths. You can hear the stomping of feet all throughout the museum as you're climbing your way through. And I think all of you end up making your way basically to the roof. You find a ladder that's in one of these air vents that makes its way up towards the roof without like a better way to go. You just sort of head up.
Well, we are at the roof. Now, how do we get down?
As you climb out, the roof vent actually is easy enough to open and exits onto the roof. You're now on top of the museum. It's the largest building in the area, so there's not a lot of clear ways down from here. And you can hear that there's still stomping and shouting and stuff in the building below you. So how do you want to get down from here?
All right.
There is obviously a stairwell that sort of leads to the roof. It's like a roof access door, but you suspect if you try to go down through the stairwell, they will probably spot you.
I don't really have anything.
Well, can we
we gotta
hide
use
up
the
here?
stairs.
Can we hide up here for a while? And is
They
it?
see if they pass.
Yeah.
It's a little risky, but
It's a little risky. What do you want to do if they come up onto the roof?
Well, so there's a door to get up onto the roof.
Yeah, it's like your classic sort of office building where the roof is like scattered stone or whatever.
I guess we I guess we have to get down.
we gotta call the Eagles.
Yeah. So in my backpack, I have a rope. I can.
You whisper to the moth.
Rappel down the side.
Yeah. So we try to find one of the sides that doesn't have a lot of windows or, doors on that side.
Sure. Yeah, I think you can totally find a side that has no fewer windows and doors and such to be able to make your way down. Actually, the whole museum has a big courtyard that has a bunch of outdoor dinosaur sculptures. and there is a pretty large sort of brontosaurus-y looking dinosaur sculpture that is pretty close. You're actually probably the building's really tall, so you're probably 7 stories up, which means one 50-foot rope is not going to get you all the way to the bottom, but it might get you closer to this dinosaur sculpture that you might be able to hop on the back of and kind of slide down from there.
Like a do a yabba dabba do down there.
Yeah, exactly. You can do a Flintstones.
I could. How
down the
many
neck
feet
of
down
the-
is it? How many feet
many-
down is it?
From the roof to the ground,
Yeah.
it's like 70 feet.
Okay. But to the dinosaur dude.
Oh, that's probably only 15 or 20 feet.
Okay, I'm wondering if I could cast.
So like the
Unseen
tip of the head or
servant.
whatever.
Right. I'm wondering if I could cast Unseen Servant, have Blaze throw down the rope, but have the Unseen Servant like catch it and tie it.
Oh,
To
like
the
to
dino
the
head.
dinosaur head?
Yeah.
That is a very creative use. I like that a lot. Yeah, I think you can totally
Okay.
do that.
Blaze.
You're going to have to convince your unseen servant.
Blaze, here's what I believe we can do. I will cast my Unseen Servant. I call him Blau. Don't ask me why. And if I could just persuade him.
Why do you call him Blau?
Oh, don't ask me. I should. It's a long story. I will tell you all when we have some more delicious eel. So I will make it so that we tie the rope to this creature down here. It's one of these mythical creatures.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
So I cast Unseen Servant on the dino.
The unseen servant appears and obviously is not seen on
Yeah.
top of the dinosaur's head. And you,
How does
I guess
how
you
does
know
one
it's
communicate? Does one
I think- there.
communicate?
I think telepathically is what we
telepathically?
established.
Okay. All right. So I'm like, give me a second. Why? Because. Yes, you could do that afterwards. Please. Okay. He says he'll do it.
Where is he?
Okay. Well, of course you can't see him. Just throw the rope in the direction of the dino's head, but not the whole rope. Hang on to one end of the rope.
I have an intelligence of 14. I understand, and I throw the rope.
The rope is caught in midair by a seemingly invisible thing, and then it immediately starts getting tied around the dinosaur head.
Right. I tie it off on. Is there something to tie it off on?
Yeah, I think there's like pipes and some stuff sort of sticking out up here, and you can tie it off on one of those.
Okay.
So I guess are you all gonna like zip line your way down about 10 15 feet and it's yabba dabba doo down this dinosaur?
Yeah.
I have
Yabba dabba do time.
quarter staff zip line down the thing.
Sweet.
But before we do, I say, can you all please do me a favor? When you land down on the dino, say thank you. Otherwise, we might have it untied at any moment, apparently.
Anyone we should address our thank you to?
No, just say thank you. That's all he needs.
Lily says, "This seems very dangerous. Are you sure this is safe?"
It's safer than staying up here.
She, as right about that time, you can hear more shouting and footsteps down below you, and she sort of nods. And
I will offer to help Lily across with my sheer massive strength.
I will accept that offer. Lily is a halfling, so she's pretty small. So I think you can totally do that. Oh, which is great
Do we
because
have
she
to
rolled
roll
terribly.
for something here?
Yeah, you need to make me a. I think we're gonna make this an acrobatics check.
Oh, I have a +0. This should be awesome.
Oh man, if this was
on,
athletics,
come on,
I would be
come on,
doing
come on,
much
Oh,
better.
you can do athletics instead if you want to do athletics. If that's better.
No. That's a -1 for me. I'm gonna do that.
I got a 14 on that.
I got a
okay.
7.
I too got a 7.
Okay.
At first, I thought it was a
Because-
1, by the way. But it's a
Kirkus,
7.
because you're helping Lily, she got a 20. And so you're because you gave her advantage on her roll.
Romancing the Stone, kind of like epic swing
Yeah.
from.
I also really appreciate the Romancing the Stone reference there. You slide down. Do you say thank you? Lily says thank you as you land on the dinosaur's head, and then you slide the rest of your way down the dinosaur's back with very little problem. Ulian and Blazenar, the two of you do not do quite so gracefully down this thing. So I'm not going to have you fall 70 stories and maybe die or whatever that would result in. Instead, I'm going to say, Blazenar, the two of you kind of hop on the rope at the same time and both start sliding down. Blazenar, the tie that you had made to the roof end of the rope comes untied as you're sliding down the rope.
Oh my god!
Resulting in immediately you feel it sort of lurch, and then you two start to fall, and you grab onto the rope. Luckily, the tie on the dinosaur head side is very solid, and so the two of you are now swinging on this.
Someone said
this
thank
rope.
you. It looks like.
And you're sliding back and forth. Now, the structure of this dinosaur is not designed to hold people on the dinosaur's head. So as you're swinging from this dinosaur, the head and neck and all the sort of connecting pieces of the dinosaur head basically start to snap, and they're all connected to each other just well enough that they all sort of snap independently and are still sort of connected, turning it into basically a floppy dinosaur neck.
Oh, no one's
that is
gonna
like
notice
collapsing
this.
under your weight. And so the two of you are now like flinging yourselves all the way around. And Gerkus, you're watching this as you're like sliding the rest of the way down the back of the dinosaur. And you are flailing and spinning now like back and forth across the front of the dinosaur as you're making your way down. And I think there's a hilarious moment where these guys, these Green Hand, who are searching through the offices, like one of them is like opened up an office and turns around and goes like, these people aren't anywhere. And then there's the two of you flying by the window as you're swinging back and forth.
But he's
my one question for
facing
you
this
is, do you say anything? Are you yelling? Are you just trying to be as quiet as possible? What does that look like?
I'm probably saying, like, let me see. 1 second. I'll tell you exactly what I'm saying. My dear Ravnica, let not this be the end.
How about you, Blazenar? Are you saying anything? Or are you just quiet contemplation as you're flailing to your death?
I'm just sort of laughing to myself, and I say, why do you call him, what do you call him? Blau.
Blau.
I'm swinging, I'm in his, like, close to him, like, why do you call him Blau?
It's a long story.
As the two of you swing back and forth and the neck continues to break, you actually manage to land fairly harmlessly on the ground as you sort of drag across the grassy ground that is there at the bottom of the dinosaur. The dinosaur's neck is completely broken, and they land on the ground as you, Gerkus and Lily, are sort of making your way around from the dinosaur's tail. And Lily goes, "Wow, that was amazing! I can't believe you did that on purpose."
Oh, that's yes, that was the plan all along.
That's incredible. We just slowed down the dinosaur's back.
Then I'm like kneeling on the floor, kissing the floor. I look up from the floor, going, "That was on purpose."
Lily looks, and you can still see all the lights of the people tromping through the museum, and she says, "Where do we go now? If they came here, then my place is almost definitely not safe."
Let us go to Ulian's place.
Oh, great! More people. Yes, let us. We need to decipher this map.
Your shoes before you step inside, if you wear shoes.
Lily doesn't wear shoes. She's a proper halfling.
It is true. It is a tradition of my people.
I think I might have wanted to fall after all.
And all four of you make your way back to Ulian's place. The night is pretty late. At this point, it's probably 8 or 9 o'clock at night as you make your way back into Ulian's place. And Lily wastes no time as you come in, and she kind of gives a look over, and she gives you a knowing nod, Ulian, and she says, "I appreciate your pursuit of academia."
Oh, why, thank you. No one's ever said anything so kind before.
Are you going to pitch to her Game to Grow now?
There is a website you should visit.
The Patreon. She says, "Do you have the book and the map?"
Yes, my friend here decided to take it with, even though we were gonna leave it here. But I assume you still have it, I guess?
I thought you had it.
Oh, right. I hope it didn't fall as we... Do I roll for something?
No, I'm not gonna make
Okay.
it. I'm not gonna make it.
Here it
have
is.
disappeared.
Here's the book, here's the map.
As you lay them out, you can see that the she starts to look over them. She does all the same things that you did at first, and you basically just engage in conversation as she says, like, "Well, have you tried it? Have you tried a 2 or a 4?" And you're sort of walking her through exactly all the same
Right.
cipher stuff that you had done. As you go through kind of all the details of it, you finally get around to the top phrase that was on the top of the map that was written in several languages, which was toes. And she says, "That reminds me of a funny story. My father, when I was young, I used to like the game, Little Piggies on Your Toes. But I never liked all the other ones. I just liked the last one." So he would...
Is this a game that teaches you how not to lose your toes on an accident?
I remember that page.
No, I don't think it was
Okay,
like
I'm
sort
sorry.
of
Please-
this little
please
piggy
go on.
went wee wee wee.
I'm not familiar
Either
with
way,
these.
I never wanted to do the rest of it. Whenever he would start it, I always tell him to skip
Is the
to the end.
pig... Is the pig starved and it is too hungry and it chews, it maims the feet?
Ulian, I think your childhood may have been quite dark.
Do not put your toes in the mouth of a pig.
That is not a good... That is great
Girkus is holding
wisdom.
up that picture in the book.
That's
Big
the
X. Yeah.
picture, big X.
X.
She says, I wonder whether or not that's what the cipher is supposed to refer to.
Oh.
And she takes the book and she starts at the end of the book instead of at the beginning of the book. And she starts going through the cipher and she says, "Yes, this makes sense. I think this may work."
Genius.
And she takes some time. We'll say 10, 15 minutes. And she turns around to all of you. She's writing all this on a piece of paper. And she says, "I'm not really sure how to tell you this, but I have the first part of the cipher. But it's a bit unusual. Let me read it to you. It says, and I quote, and I'm not making any of this up, it says, 'Let Lily translate the map. Find the key. You must find Erizeth tonight.'" Does that make any sense to you at all? Let's see, who has it? Girkus. You know the name Erizeth because that is the name of the author for the
Of that
poetry
book.
book that you picked up.
The poetry book.
Erizeth. Yes, this is familiar.
And I'll say
What is familiar about it?
He wrote this book on poetry.
The author of the other book. Of course.
And the title of the other book is The Key to Mastering Poetry.
The key.
Ah, the key.
What is the key to mastering poetry?
Let's open it up.
It must be in the book. I take the book and I shake
you're-
it out, see if there's a key in there.
there's no key. It appears to be
No,
just
no,
a
no,
book.
no, no. There's no literal key. Let's
It is
look
a
at the
metaphor.
pages. Yes.
Pages are covered in words.
It's poetry. The book goes on about how poetry is all about understanding emotional connection. It's all about evoking emotions with words. That is like sort of the premise of Eriseth's ideas there. The actual I have the actual name of the
Are
person.
the poems divided into like chapters and verse, that kind of thing?
They actually, it's not a poetry book. It's not a book full of poems. It
It's a
has
book
poems as
about-
examples, as just teaching you about how to write poems. But the person's name is Jannar Eriseth. And there's actually like a nice little sketch in the back of the book of Jannar. She appears to be a Githzerai, which is a race of sort of slightly psychic beings from
Does it
sort
say
of the outer
where-
planes.
Where is it? A she?
A she, yeah.
Does it say where she's from
It does.
on the back of the book?
Yeah, I think she's from here. She's from the city here.
Ah. This says it. The author is local.
And I think I'm gonna give this Blazenar. Roll me a. I guess this would be perception check.
I got a 15.
Okay, a 15 is good enough. Blazenar, you've seen posters like billboards all over the city, talking about a poetry performance happening from Eriseth tonight, as like a one-night performance that is happening across the other side of town.
Eriseth is performing tonight across town. We must go now.
Wait, the Eriseth? How can you be sure?
I saw the posters.
Oh my good lord. Of course we should go then.
Fortuitous. Perhaps she has a key.
Well, Lily says it'll take me some time to finish deciphering the rest of the map. I guess Thwar was right. Go, I'll stay here. This seems safe enough.
Don't touch the books.
Yes,
Except for this one.
Yeah,
Yes,
you must
that
touch
one you
this
can
one.
touch.
Leave the columns alone. They won't fall on you.
They seem like they might fall on me, though. Very well, go, before it's too late.
All right.
As you make your way over to the other side of town, I'm curious, are you just going to hike over there? Do you want to like hire a, what is it called where somebody like
Rickshaw.
pulls a rickshaw?
Yes,
Or a
let's
cart
hire a
or something
rickshaw.
like that? You want to hire a
One of
rickshaw?
these strange locals with their
So we can hurry.
local
Yeah.
customs.
Make
Yeah, we
your
gotta
way
hurry.
over on a rickshaw?
You.
Actually,
Yes, you.
maybe I
Carry us,
suggest
New
that.
The-
I might say, would it
The
be
rickshaw-
possible if we perhaps hired a rickshaw? Because that way you wouldn't have to get your feet even dirtier, and this might get us there a little sooner as well.
You have a strange fascination with our feet.
I'm just looking out for the best.
He's not wrong.
If you're paying, let's go.
There's a rickshaw guy. He's hanging out.
Sure, I will
he's
cover the
reading a book.
costs. Kind sir, we need to make our way to, where is this place, Blaze?
How did you know my name?
I don't believe I know your name.
Kind sir, that's my name. How did you know that?
Oh, you're very well known in this part of town as providing the best rickshaw service.
Oh. Well, I do provide a good rickshaw service. I mean,
Well,
if
we
I
are
do
in-
say so myself.
we are
I
in
like to
need of
provide
your
puff
service.
pastries with every rickshaw ride.
Even better. We are hungry, are we not?
I am always hungry.
I am
Oh.
always hungry as well. We
Well,
have
then
that in
welcome to
common.
Kind Sir's rickshaw rides. I would
Excellent,
be very
kind sir.
excited to take you wherever you're going. Where are you going?
The Green Flagon.
Oh, God, that's on the other side of town.
I heard that you have no problem getting someone from one side of town to the other in no time at all.
Well, I mean, I suppose that's true.
Your
I
reputation
have been
does
known
precede you,
to-
kind sir.
To do that. Very, very well, very well. Well, hop on board, kind sir's rickshaw service.
I'll even pay your usual fee.
Oh, what a gentleman. Even for all the word of mouth you've given me.
That's correct.
Oh, well, normally I just work for exposure, but in this case, I'll take your money. That sounds like quite a deal.
Oh.
He starts taking off. He's got a little like cooler filled with
Cream puffs?
cold cream puffs. That he's got in there.
It's like an Uber. He wants a good rating. I'm assuming.
He's trying to get a good rating. He's got a sign on his back that says like, if you'd like for me to hum a specific kind of song, just let me know. Please give me.
know Slippy
shout rating.
Slippy, the eel is Slippy?
Oh yes, one of my favorites.
I would love to hear it.
I've been hearing
And then
good
there's
things
a drum
about the
solo,
band
just
called Moradin. Perhaps you could play some Moradin songs.
Some
In my
Moradin.
travels, I've heard good things about the band.
Oh, one of
never
the
heard of
best
such a
bands. Yes, of course.
Wait a minute.
I know
I
their
did
greatest
hear
hits.
of the acquaintance of mine, I believe, had a connection.
Oh, well, I know one of the members. Thrain.
What of Moradin?
He's from my hometown. I've been friends with him for decades.
No
Don't
way.
say.
Perhaps you should introduce us.
And they're the ones who wrote Slippy, Slippy, Eel, Sleepy?
No, that was not Moradin.
Oh, I wonder if they play a cover, an arrangement of it.
It's
Such a catchy tune.
it's mind-boggling, really, because Thrain has no rhythm and no tonality.
I wonder who the lead singer is, because Slippy, Slippy, Eel, Slippy requires a certain bravado in the intonation. And
Well, why don't you regale us, since you know the song so well?
unfortunately, I have a terrible, tragic singing voice, but it does go something like... Slippy, 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 Eel, Slippy. It's something like this. It sounds a little better in the actual performance, but
Bravo.
yeah.
Is it the sound of an eel being murdered? I'm trying. What's going on with that song?
No, it's evoking the sentiment one has when one imbibes delicious essence of eel, which is, oh man, I just cannot even begin to explain it. But
I think you've explained it. I think
Slippy.
you've explained it thoroughly for me to envision in my mind. I both thank you and tell you to stop. It's just fine.
I'm getting better, actually. I think the more I practice, the
think you are,
Slippy.
About this time, you pull up.
5 stars.
You pull up to the location that you're headed. Kirk, what was the name of that place again?
The Green Flagon.
The
And
Green
by the way,
Flagon.
Blazonar ate 15 eclairs on the way over.
I think between Blazonar and Gerkus, you've cleaned him out.
He's
of-
cleaned
of-
out.
of
I
Puffy's
think I
deal.
had
Also,
one.
his like mints. Where I've taken his phone charger.
I had one of these
Oh,
cream
stuff.
puffs.
Wait, you still have all the mints from the bank?
He had a take
No,
a
I have
copper,
eaten
leave
all
a
those.
copper
Oh, those are good.
that had a few coppers in it. You grabbed those.
I'm actually
too.
like, sir, do you mind? I had one. These are delicious cream. Do you mind if I can have a? Oh, never mind.
Yeah, there's yeah.
Oh,
Powdered sugar all
play-
over our
play
face.
back there. Feel free to have a fill. As he pulls up, he says, "Thank you so much for your service. Remember, tell everybody about kind Sir Rickshaws.
Yes, you have been a much kind sir. Yes, I thank you, kind sir.
You're welcome, unknown named person."
That's not my name, but yes, thank you.
As you pull up outside of the Green Flagon is it's sort of a bar, but it's also got a huge performance space, and so it is really well known in the area of being just this great place to go if you're attending sort of a performance. It is packed. It is packed, and you can see that there's bouncers at the door who are sort of checking in people and checking tickets. and there is a big sign that just is plastered all over everything. It says "sold out." However, as you are kind of looking over all of the signs and the bouncers and all the people packed in, you Blazenar, you can see that there is a group of people that are coming in from sort of the side door, and there's a bouncer there too, and they are all halflings, and they're all wearing hats, and the hats look very familiar. They look exactly like the hat that you have in your possession. Maybe a little less crumpled. But the ugly hat that you have, the sort of ugly-looking sailor's hat, looks exactly like one of these hats. And you can overhear.
Remind me where I got
they're
this
having.
hat. I forget.
This is one of Thwar's items.
Oh, okay,
So I guess Gerkus has it in his possession.
right.
You can overhear the three halflings that are going up and talking to the bouncer at the side door. The bouncer says names, and one of the halflings says, "We're part of the opening act. We're the Four Amigos."
I grab Gerkus's bag and I say, "Where's that hat?"
And the guard at the door, as you're doing this, says, "There's only three of you." And one of them says, "Oh yeah, the last one's running late. He'll be here any minute."
Oh, perfect.
And the guard
that
says,
hat
"All
right
right,
on Blaze's
go
head
on
to
in. You're about to
shove
go
him.
on stage."
Shove them over there.
So I wait for them to go in, and then I shuffle in, and I just go, "Hey!"
The three go in, and the guard sees you. The bouncer sees you come up and goes, "Oh, you're those amigo fellows.
Hey, yeah,
Great. Are these two your
yeah, they're with me.
sound crew?"
Yeah, sound crew.
Yes, we are the sound.
All right.
We are the
Well, then you're on in minutes. Get in there.
All right.
Excellent.
You make your way into the side door in the
Slippy.
into the building. You're actually like almost immediately on stage. You're in like a small little backstage area, and you can see the three of them are making their way on. There's another sort of stage director inside who looks at you and goes, "Oh, thank God you're here. I thought we were going to have to delay the whole thing," and then takes you and then shoves you over next to the other three performers. So they're all facing the stage, and you're at sort of the back of the line. And then the stage director kind of motions and goes like, "You're on, go, 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 go." And the three of them sort of start making their way out on the stage, and you can see spotlights come down onto each of them, and there's a crowd, and the crowd gives sort of a quiet applause. There's a ton of people, but it very much sounds like sort of almost golf clapping, and you get the feeling like this is maybe a little bit of an avant-garde poetry slam.
Like with the snaps.
Yeah, like
I
the
see.
snapping or whatever. And the three of the rest of them go out on stage and then take marks, and they all sort of stand with their arms crossed, facing the audience.
I do the same.
Gerkus and Ulian, you're watching from the wings as this is all going on. And as the three of them stand with their arms crossed, all of a sudden all the lights go out, and then one of the lights turns on top of one of them, and he says, "Pain," and then the light turns off, and then the light turns on the next one, and he says, "Albuquerque," and then the light turns off, and the light turns on the third one, and he says, "Watermelon," and then the light turns off, and the light turns on you, Blazenar.
What do you say?
Slippy eel.
And the light turns off. And then as it turns back on the first one, he has pulled out a like small drum that you're not really sure where he got it from, and he just plays, and then the lights turn off again, and then it turns on the next one, and he has pulled out like a little penny whistle, and he just plays like a and it turns off again, and the third one it turns on, and he has pulled out an entire saxophone.
Oh my God.
And he plays just one low note, just a and then it turns on you again.
I pull up my shirt and I play bongos on my big belly.
There's a long quiet moment, and then all the lights turn on all of them, and you watch as each one of them sort of starts doing their own dance. The first one sort of plugging his nose and doing like a snorkel dance, and each one of the other ones is sort of doing their own dance along with it.
I pull the hat over my face, and I'm slithering on the ground like an eel.
The crowd, as best you can tell, is absolutely loving this performance. They're snapping like crazy. There's no woos or anything, but they're like
They're snapping.
You can see nodding in the audience as they're really enjoying this. Finally, the lights turn on with all of them, and the three of them have gotten on top of each other's shoulders. And the bottom one says bottom, and then the next one up says middle, and then the very top one says top. And then they all turn and look at you, and you can see for the first moment they're finally surprised to see you are not actually the fourth member of the of the crew, and they all kind of are taken aback as they all look at you. And the light turns on.
Start flapping my wings, and I zoom in on the three of them, and I say, "Dragon."
And they all sort of fall over and then tumble onto the ground and then stand up and hold their arms up. And the crowd goes wild with snapping.
Like snap.
And quiet mm-hms. You even hear some it's a statement about society today in the audience.
I get it.
As the three of them sort of all take their bow in front of the audience and then start making their way off stage.
It'd be hilarious if Gerkes is really into it too.
Yeah,
And William's
Gerkes,
just kinda
I'm
like,
curious what
"Oh
you
my
think of the whole performance.
I get it now. I see.
What
Dirkus does like
drivel
poetry.
is
This is how he met War in the first place.
This is beat.
Yeah. This is,
As the three of them come off stage, they all turn towards you, Blazenar, and they're like, "You aren't Tommy. Who are you?"
I am Billy. Tommy's cousin. He's told me
Tommy's cousin? Oh, he said that he was not feeling great. I didn't know he had taught you the routine.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I jumped at the chance to be with you guys, the brilliant guys.
That's our name. It's the Brilliant Guys. Wow, I'm so glad that you could join us. I would tell Tommy that we're sorry he couldn't be here to to watch the performance and open for Jannar Arazeth. There's no greater honor.
Where is Jannar Arazeth? I want to meet her and actually congratulate her on her book.
The stage manager shushes you as you're kind of like in the back wings, and says, "She's coming on now." And Jannar walks over from the other side, and Jannar has a wonderful grace to her. She's tall and thin, and she's wearing a sort of large, a long gown. And she steps out onto stage with no book, and she sort of eyes the audience, and there's a long, quiet moment, almost long enough to be uncomfortable. And finally, she turns to the audience and she says, "Mind gone, undercurrents of terror, choices removed." And as she says each word, she's kind of looking at different audience members, almost like she's picking people out. And you're getting a sense for clearly the poetry is dark and sad. But the thing that really blows each of you away is that as she's looking at each sort of section of the audience, you can see audience members bursting into tears as she's sort of watching each person. Go ahead, Ulian, and roll me an Arcana check.
Uh, 15.
What all of you would know about Gith is that Gith have like a mild psychic ability. This is brought about by them having been a race that was enslaved and dominated for years by mind flayers.
Oh,
And the story behind the Gith is basically that, hundreds of years ago, they basically got their freedom from the mind flayers that used to enslave them, and they earned it by fighting back, basically. But over the time, the many, many generations in which they were enslaved by mind flayers, they slowly developed psychic abilities of their own, and now they are known for being mildly psychic, not necessarily as powerful as like a mind flayer, but having some psionic abilities and some psychic abilities that they can utilize. You think that what she's doing is she's using some type of empathic ability to cause audience members to feel what she wants them to feel in this moment, maybe what she's feeling in this moment as she's like reading her poetry out. But it's a powerful experience. It's a powerful moment of watching her read off her poetry and literally elicit the feelings that she wants for the individuals in the audience. And it doesn't look like she's hiding it. She's not, manipulating people as much as she's like inviting them to be a part of the very powerful emotional experience that she's creating with the poetry that she has.
Wow.
But it is dead silent in the audience, except for the occasional weeping sobs of the people that are listening to her poetry. She goes through several different poems, some of which are pretty long, as she explains, as she just only ever says these pointed words that kind of pull out the imagery and the poetry that she wants. And not all of them are sad. Some of them are happy, and some of them are great. And everybody else in the wings are watching her with bated enthusiasm as they listen to every word, even though they're not actually being targeted with the emotional response that's going on for the audience. All three of you kind of watch the performance go on, and it's probably about 40 minutes or so of performance. Before finally she sort of nods, and there's lots of snapping and even a couple of mild cheers kind of happening from the audience before she nods and she bows just slightly and steps off stage back towards what looks to be some kind of green room or whatever that's in the back.
wow.
I have to say, the Fiend Folio, when I was in the 6th grade with the Gith Zerai right there in the front, I just remember being so enthralled with this race from so long ago, and I don't think I've ever been in a campaign actually interacting with some. So this is pretty fun for me.
It's really one of my favorite side races or extra races or whatever of the D&D world. I think they're so interesting.
That was magical.
Indeed.
Literally.
We need to go find her.
You see that the stage manager seems to be distracted, and she says, the three of you two are the sound people.
That's correct.
There's a after party that is happening just outside. If you want to follow me, then I think you could come back this way. But it doesn't look like that's the direction that Jannar went.
We must go to the green room at the Green Flagon.
She looks kind of confused, and she says, "With Jannar, I don't know if she likes to be bothered after
we
her
are the
performances."
sound team.
We need to get our equipment back, and absolutely.
Oh, let me double check with her.
You
And she
can
walks
double
back
check.
with.
I don't know if you've ever interacted with her when she is not in a kind mood. Let's just say that the emotions that get into your head can be quite devastating when that happens.
Devastating.
She's standing in front of the green room, and she's like holding up her hand to knock as you've sort of followed her back there. And she says, "What do you mean devastating?"
Devastating.
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 You saw the crying?
Crying.
That's child's play. I have books that could show you how bad it
He
can
has
get.
so many books.
Oh, do you think she's unhappy? The performance
She
seemed to
would
go
be
so
if
well.
we don't. She would be if we don't do what she wants us to do right now.
Do what she wants.
Which is get in there and get our equipment out of her way. She is very
Out of her
particular
way.
about this.
Oh,
She is
I
particular.
didn't. I didn't know
It's
there was
not your
any equipment
fault.
in there.
We won't mention this time what has happened here.
You won't mention my name.
No,
Not this time.
I don't know your name.
I don't want her to be unhappy with us. We wanted to go out of our way to make sure that she was comfortable.
And you
We in
tried
her rider,
your
she had the
best.
You
request
did
for the
your
eggs. We put
best.
them in there in the dressing room.
These things happen.
I'm so tell Jannar that there was no intent, no ill intent to have equipment in her way or discomfort of any kind. Please, I assure you, this was
It's
not.
quite all right.
This is not how we intended for this to go.
Are those people trying to get in on the back? You
What?
might want to go
No.
check.
Oh my goodness!
Over
No,
there.
no. And she sort of rushes back away from you. It's like, no. No one sees Jannar, and she runs off into the other direction, back to the other side of the stage, leaving you at the green room door.
Ulian, we are a good team.
Yes, very good. Very good. I liked this. And then I guess we just go in. Knock, knock.
You knock on the door and you hear, "Hello, come in."
All right, we come in.
And you can see Jannar is sitting very comfortably in a nice couch that is there. And she sees all three of you kind of come in, and she goes, "Oh, hello! You are the performer before me. It is wonderful to meet you.
Wonderful to meet you as well.
Your performance was quite inspiring."
Yours was beyond inspiring.
It really was magical.
Magical.
I'm so glad that you could come and open for me. It means a lot for me to have somebody there that is a part of the city as well.
I close the door behind me and I say, Ulian, I think we might want to explain why we're here.
Yes,
We're looking
there
for
is
a
more
key.
to the story.
You have a key. We're looking for a key. Time is of the essence.
Oh. You are not the opening performers, are you?
No. There's a quick backstory, and we'd be happy to give it to you.
Do you explain everything?
Yes, I like explain briefly what has been going on and what's going on right this second.
She listens intently, and then when you sort of catch up to where you are, she says, "Thwar was a good friend of mine. I am sorry to hear that he has passed. But he did entrust me with something very valuable. However, I cannot give it to you, not without you first demonstrating that you are who you say you are."
Okay.
And she closes her eyes and she gestures to each of you and she says, "You must tell me a regret that you have, and I will read your aura."
Very well. Gurkus, I
I
believe you were going to
regret
go first.
doing so many push-ups before climbing in that tiny vent. My arms are so large.
And she pauses a long moment and she says, "You are guarded, and your aura is stiff.
Yes.
You must loosen up."
I don't regret things. I
You regret much, and much with your parents. But it's good enough.
Well, what's her name again? Jannar. After reading the book in Ulian's apartment, it reminds me of my grandnephew Janver, who I sent on a errand, knowing full well that there was dangers of the aboleth at the bottom of the falls. I thought everything would be okay, but I knew there was a risk, and we never heard from Janver again. And I regret it to this day. It was 45 years ago and 3 months. I should have gone myself on that errand.
I put a hand on Blaze.
You are honest, and you regret much within your life as a whole. But you are not so guarded. Your life is open, and many opportunities ahead of you.
Thank you.
As he goes past me for me to take my turn, I whisper to him, I say, I'm sorry I did not know.
Thank you, Julian.
Well, I tend not to live life with regrets. I suppose if I was having to say something, 25 odd years ago, I felt what humans usually call love. And I regret it. I regret that I felt that way. It was not only not meant to be, it should not have been. I should have kept to my studies and not bothered with such trivialities. Yeah, that is my regret. I regret that I loved.
She is gone, but your feeling is not. You still have opportunity. Maybe this is it. And she stands up and she says, Thwar has trusted you with a great task. I hope you know what is ahead of you. And she stands and she has like a wardrobe. And she takes a box out of the wardrobe, and it appears to be made of stone. In fact, it looks like it's made of one solid block of stone. And she sets it down with kind of more ease than you would think for her holding a stone block. And she puts her hand on top of the block, and you see her close her eyes, and you can hear mechanisms like locks unlocking inside of the box. And all of a sudden, you look as seamless pillars kind of eject out of the side of the box from each side, and then a lid that you would not have known was there pulls open, and she reaches inside the box and she pulls out a key. Blazenar, you recognize it as exactly the key that was given to you so long ago in your warehouse that you have come back seeking to give back to the mysterious stranger.
Oh, by the gods.
She says, this key opens many doors and many places. I hope that you know what you hold in your hand. And she hands it over to you, Blazenar.
And I hold it and I say, I've been looking for this for a long time. You don't understand how much this means to me and my family.
And she says, then I hope that it brings you the good luck and fame and things you need for your life.
Me too. Thank you so much.
She
I'm
nods and
bowing
she
too. I'm like,
and she says, "Goodbye, strange people. Good luck on your journey."
Thank you so much. You have given us more than you know.
And with that, you now have the key and the map, and that is where we're going to end for today.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun.
Or should I say, slippery,
Slippy, ew, slippy.
And we'll do our usual checkout. We'll do a spotlight that everybody has for someone for someone else for our game
man.
today.
I'll do Berto because of his normal readiness for improv. You just never. I just know I can throw to him and just know that something's gonna come out of his face, and I just don't know what it's gonna be. And,
Might be a slippery eel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm a big fan. Berto knows this of improv, just improv and comedy and stuff, and I, like nothing makes me more happy or joyous or to laugh harder than to see people on the edge of making a mistake or on the edge of their creativity and just watching them make something up as they're going. And and Berto, I just knew that when he was starting to sing that song that he had no idea. And I'm just like, where is this headed? And then he's like, la, 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 it's just very enjoyable to watch.
I'm gonna do spotlights for both of y'all. Actually, there was moments that happened where it just felt like synergistic, and we're on video, even though listeners can't see this. But when we were in the back of that rickshaw, Kirk and I both held up our hands to indicate that both our characters had covered our faces in powdered sugar or cream puff filling. So there's a nice synergy there. And then spotlight for Berto when you made the offer, speaking of improv, that my character had brought the book and the map. And like, why would I do that? Right, but you made that offer, and that showed me that you trusted me to take that offer. So I appreciate that moment that we had there. So thank you for trusting me.
That
I
was
would
fun.
say yes to that. Instead of saying, no, I'm not going to. That's stupid. Why would I bring it with me? So that was spotlight for the offer.
Thanks. That I knew I could trust you. Everything I learned about improv, I learned from you guys. So, all right. So I mean, there was a lot of great stuff today, and the rickshaw was hilarious, all around. I also loved just the little Gurkhas interactions with, and like how you took that ball. But I was gonna call out something that Blaze did, Kirk did, and it's kind of a general comment, but it's just because in the last campaign, as we've said before, my character was there's a problem. Oh, someone made a noise. Okay, I'm gonna go punch it, or I'm gonna go run into this thing, and that was the thing, and it was kind of easy to play. And then this campaign, I'm like trying to play like, well, I'm not that physically like imposing, and I have my magic, but I gotta like think this through. So I'm not gonna be the first one into a room, kind of thing. But I love because like Blaze, like you had that moment where you're like, you just pointed to us and you're like, shh, and you just like sneak into the thing, just like decisive. And then it plays really well with the characters because I could just see, Gurkhas would maybe burst in, but he's kind of like looking around. He's still looking at these boots for whatever reason. And then I'm sitting there going like, what could we do? What could we do? And you're like, shh, and you just sneak in. I just loved it. It was decisive.
It was everything I could do not to be sort of like Grollo in that moment and go fire breath on everybody.
Right.
I want to spotlight John's as well, because thinking back to, now I'm realizing that I kind of screwed up at least what you thought we were going to do, because thinking back, it was like you thought all three of us would make our way in, and then the thugs were coming, and then we were going to escape, all three of us, but you improvise in the moment to be like, okay, crap. So Gurkhas has the thing, and he has to get to them. So I'll give them another grate, and they'll work their way through and then they'll get out. And it all seems seamless in the moment, because in the moment it was like, oh, so Thwar left behind this. This screwdriver. This is basically just one big Bill and Ted's, by the way. I just want to say. But I was like, oh, so he predicted in this moment that we would need it. But looking back, it's like, no, that was an add-on to the whole thing.
I'm
got
glad that
second.
was mostly seamless, because
I gotta second that, dude. Like seriously, towards the end, I was like, wait a minute, how did we end up at the thing that apparently is the thing that's supposed to happen? Because like I felt that the three of us were going off script, and we're like, oh man, I was thinking, I don't know how Adam's gonna like pull this in, because like we're like jumping on a dinosaur and this guy's doing like, what the heck? But it was so great because like at the end I'm like, oh, this is what's supposed to be happening, and these are the stories he told us he was gonna ask us about the thing. Like this is on purpose. It was really good.
I'm glad it comes out that way. This has been I think I said way back when we first started season 2 that I was going to do an ambitious thing with season 2, and you're starting to get a taste for the way
Yes.
the way that this has been laid out, and it is tough to plan for, and I would not recommend this for any new game masters. This is not the easiest storyline.
You're not just drawing a
master.
dungeon and drawing little X's where you're gonna find a monster here and then you're gonna find a little treasure here. This is like we're in a city. It's like an open world game kind of, because we could have been like, man, we're hungry. No, screw the rickshaw. Why are we gonna go find this gal? Like, let's go have dinner over here. Remember that place the other day?
It's like an open world game where wherever you go, you're still on the main storyline.
Yeah.
There was that moment where Adam was like, "You guys want to look at the map? Yeah, just gonna hang out here." What other books do you have, Willie?
We can continue to talk about the books in Ulian's room.
What's
but
in this stack?
Well, it would happen that way too, because if you think about it, Ulian would be mixed between, well, I love talking about books, so I guess I could talk about books all day, but at the same time, like, I'm paranoid about what's going to happen. Meanwhile, Girkas is just like distracted with the children dying books. And then Blaze has found his like secret. We didn't know he was into these like mythical creature things.
Yeah, and this is another magical thing about, I'll just say, the four of us is that Johns will set up a situation. It'll be like, okay, what's your apartment like? And then Berto's like, okay, well, this is what it's like. There's a lot of books. And John's just thinking, well, I'll see what these yahoos do when they walk in here. Maybe it's nothing, but maybe it's something. And then me and Girkas take advantage. We're like, well, what would we do? Let's make this a little interesting. Here's what I do. And then there's a little scene there that I remember from the first campaign. There were all these little scenes that would happen like that where it's like no one knows what's going to happen. It doesn't really apply to the plot at all. It's just another little opportunity to explore the characters, and no one takes it in a overly goofy way. I've played with a lot of other people with Dungeons and Dragons, and sometimes people take it, they're so kind of insecure about making it a little serious that any chance they get, they'll just make it so ridiculous that it doesn't really feel like you're playing Dungeons and Dragons anymore. It just feels like you're just like making dumb jokes. And so we're riding that line of like, yeah, it's silly and we're making some jokes, but we're also kind of creating a story and trying to create a scene that we can all play in. And so that's the four of us actually doing something that's really quite unique. I've played with a lot of people, Dungeons and Dragons, and there's usually something wrong with at least one person that I'm playing with that really drags it down that this group does not have.
Nice. I do think it really requires a lot of trust from the players, and I know that I can toss all of you into a role play scene and say like, you're feeding ducks on a lake, go, and like you'll play with that and make a scene out of that, and I can give you the kind of space to role play with it while still keeping it. You won't go like, I blow up the lake or anything like that. I can have some trust in you as players of the game that you'll be your characters for that moment.
Yeah, and people listening, if you play Dungeons & Dragons or you want to play, I recommend keeping all this kind of in mind of like improv, lean in, be silly, but don't be overly silly. Don't be like completely off the rails silly. Don't overtake the scene. Let other people in. Yes, and the whole thing. And don't be afraid, if things go terribly wrong and you say something stupid, it's Dungeons and Dragons that happens. Because when you do that, as I think we do, like very interesting, memorable, important things happen, rather than it just being either a silly fest or just rolling dice.
Totally.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think those moments are the connected moments that make up a good D&D game. The moments where it was goofy, or where we were just goofing around as our characters, or someone made a fun suggestion for what we should do next, or just role playing out some little minor thing. Those turn out to be often the most memorable, and as players of the game, the most important parts to us, more so necessarily than like the big overarching plot or the particular enemy you defeated or anything like that.
Yeah. I like us bringing in Moradin to this campaign too. That was
Yeah.
now
That
there's
was an awesome moment.
there's a connection now.
You're now officially famous, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Morden is officially holding it in. They've crossed kingdom.
I also love the meta of like Kirk having to improv on an improv stage,
Yeah.
improving.
Yeah.
It was awesome.
Yeah, let me ask you, Johns, have you used that scene before to help players play around with improv? Because it seemed like a scene that you could definitely replicate in any scene. You know what I mean?
I never have. And now that you say that, I think this is a great tool. Here you go, Adam.
Yeah.
I've had
this is
open
another
mic nights in games before, in D&D games, in Game to Grow games. I've had open mic nights where you have to fit into the open mic night in order to meet the person who's hosting the open mic night. Definitely.
Nice.
And it's just like, depending on the player who's there, I'll do like, it's a rhyming couplet, and you just have to like take finish the line or something like that. It's sort of a challenge by choice improv game right there.
Yeah, I mean, because the way that you set it up, I couldn't do anything wrong, and by the third or fourth iteration, I was like, okay, well, what would I think entertain the crowd a little bit here, and
Right.
and I felt completely safe to just do whatever I wanted to in the moment. And as a person who actually struggles with on-stage improv, like Berto's really good at it. He goes on stage, he just improv. I'm so terrified, I just freeze up and I say stupid things. And so he provided me with a corrective experience in that moment.
That's great. I'm super glad that it was able to be that for you. Yeah, I just wanted it to be a fun time for you to be there and improvise and be your character on a stage in front of people. So
Right.
I'm super glad that it worked out so well, and you did great. You had great responses to go along with it.
Ever got into this D&D stuff, we taught improv classes together. That was almost a decade ago. Adam and I were teaching improv.
Well, my first interaction with you guys was about improv. It was when we did that
Drama therapy.
drama therapy.
Oh yeah,
That was a
so
fun
legit.
episode.
Yeah, so if you're interested and you're listening, you can go to our YouTube channel and watch the drama therapy episode. We recorded it, 8 years ago or something.
My hair was actually dark back then.
We recorded out at a classroom, like at
Antioch, yeah.
Antioch.
And it was, it still gets a lot of views because there's not a lot of drama therapy videos on YouTube. And
Yeah.
Adam Davis was just texted by a friend, right?
Yeah, my friend Barrett, who teaches at Penn State, I think.
He was watching it
about that video.
Yeah, he said he showed it in his class.
Ah, that's
Double check
great.
which university he's at. But yeah, so that's pretty fun. I was actually at a drama therapy conference years ago when someone said, I feel like I've met you before. Have we met before? And then it turns out that they had just watched that video and seen me
Oh, no
play with
way.
puppets or whatever on that drama therapy episode. So they.
Oh, that's great.
That's spectacular. My favorite rule from improv that I would love to pass on to our listening audience. Yes and is a great rule, but my favorite rule that we used to teach was make your partner look like a rock star. Which is, rather than you trying to take up the spotlight or you trying to take up the space or make the funny joke, set up someone else in the group to make the funny joke or to have the funny comment or the really cool thing that they get to do. And that is also my favorite advice for players and in D&D, that you will make for a better experience overall for everyone if you're working to make the other people at the table have the epic moment or say the great thing, and especially if you can do it in character, then all of a sudden the whole table benefits, and you look great doing it too.
Yeah.
Because you get to be the one who put your hands down and flung them into the air so they could go and attack the big monster, or like that role is so important and will make for a better experience for everybody at the table.
Makes sense.
Yeah, it reminds me of playing sports. That was a big value as well, is to be the assist and to set up someone else for the score was extremely honorable, especially when you have the shot yourself, but you know it would be better if the other person took the shot. It is seen as like you're so good that you don't need to take the shot every time, and that everyone wins when you assist other people, like the most respectable. Yeah, I heard a stat that Wayne Gretzky, if you took away all his goals, he still had record level goals because of all of his assists.
Oh, wow.
And, really good players know how to play as a team and not necessarily as a star.
Yeah, I totally agree. That's good Dungeons and Dragonsing also.
Yeah. I hadn't thought about that. That's interesting. Yeah.
It's good in life. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, when you're on a date and you're like, you want to move in to kiss the girl, and then you throw the assist to your friend, and you're like, kiss the girl.
Kiss the girl.
Yeah.
And she's like,
You
wait,
shove them
what?
ahead.
I was on
Yeah.
a date with you. What? Okay.
Hey, I'm throwing the assist, man.
Yeah. do the alley-oop.
That's a good Key and Peele speech or something.
Yeah.
Sketch. All right, everyone. Thanks for joining us out there. Tune in next time when we continue with the second campaign of demonstrating Dungeons and Dragons therapy. Go to gametogrow.org and go to all the slashes, the support, the critical cores, and from Ulian and Girkus and Blazonar, we say take care of yourself because
You deserve it.